Hello everyone, welcome again to Cafetography. Today we're looking at the Canon 300mm f2.8 L series Mark II lens. This is a lens I have been dreaming about getting my hands on ever since I got into photography. It's at the top of any photographer's wish list. Do lenses get any better than this? Well, in this video we're going to find out. The first thing that becomes apparent about this lens is its size. It's so big that it even comes with its own travel case. It certainly grabs people's attention when you're out and about with it. Almost every outing with it, people would stop and ask me about this lens. We all know there's quite a big elephant in the room when it comes to this lens, and it's to do with the price. Well, it's expensive. It's around £5,000 and it may be beyond the reach of the average photographer. So what do you get for that price tag? Well, the lens has 16 elements in 12 groups, along with 9 aperture blades. This goes some way to explaining the lens's bulky size. You also get super fast autofocus as well as some of the best image quality I've ever seen. That is partly thanks to an internal focusing ring ultrasonic motor. And I must say that the AI servo performance of this lens is among the best I've ever used. On the barrel, you have your usual image stabilization buttons with 3 modes: general, panning and tracking mode, which will only be activated during the exposure. There's also focus presets and focus limiters, as well as the autofocus manual focus switch. Full-time manual focus is available on this lens, and there is about 3/4 of a turn from the nearest to the infinity. The focus ring, which is smooth and nicely weighted. The barrel also has a permanent footplate, as well as a gasket for weather sealing. Despite this lens's large appearance, it only weighs in at 2.4 kilograms. It's certainly light enough to use all day without the aid of a monopod. One thing I did notice is that I was very aware of its size with the lens hood on. Towards the front element there are 4 AF stop buttons, as well as a playback ring which allow you to replay any of the focus presets that you have set. It can also be used with power focus for video. By twisting the playback ring, the lens will drive the focus motor in the direction you are turning it. How much you twist the ring will affect how fast the focus will move. As you can see, the lens hood is pretty large. It slides on and secures in place with the little aid of a nut that you can screw down. This helps conceal the frankly massive front element. There's no screw-in filters here. This lens uses a 52mm drop-in filter which can be found just behind where the footplate is mounted. It's about time we got into the class-leading image quality. This thing, as you would imagine, is sharp. I mean tack sharp. Colour and contrast are stunning, and the bokeh, with 9 rounded aperture blades it produces, is sublime. Super smooth with plenty of subject isolation. Actually, as this is a 300mm f2.8 lens, on small subjects you can reduce the background into an imperceivable blur. Perhaps one could argue that there is a slight weight disadvantage to this lens compared to the 300mm f4, but it's hardly worth bringing up. The image stabilisation also helped increase the keeper rate, and having it set to dynamic mode meant that it would detect when I started panning. Handy as it saves you from having to constantly switch between the modes. So, about that image stabilisation. It is claimed that it gives 4 stops of stabilisation. It would have therefore been rude for me not to test that out. I started out at 400th of a second. I then went down in full stops until I got to a frankly ridiculous 1/25th of a second before things started to get a little bit blurry. That is rather impressive. This lens's party trick is the f2.8 aperture, as I mentioned earlier. But how does that behave? Here you can see there is a slight vignetting wide open. It is still apparent at f4, but it has started to clean up. By the time we get to f5.6, things have cleaned up completely. Sharpness is amazing across the board. Sharp in the centre and all the way to the edges. Other photographers who will really appreciate that maximum aperture are wildlife photographers. Being a whole stop faster than its smaller brother, and having twice the stabilisation capabilities makes this lens much more desirable. It would also allow for much better subject isolation. So, does this lens flare? Well, of course. However, it's extremely well controlled. I shot straight into the setting sun with it, and it does flare, but not as much as you might expect. It also still manages to focus in direct light as demonstrated here when I shot these headlights during a night race. When it comes to it, whether I would have this or the 300mm f4, it's a really tough one. The f4 felt so much more agile and honestly, a lot easier to shoot with. The f2.8 is just magical to use though. The image quality is incredible, even wide open. It just has a hefty price tag. I suppose that this is the only limiting factor. If I was a full-time professional motorsport photographer, then no doubt I would get this. For now, the f4 will remain the go-to lens. In summary, I'm completely smitten with this lens. From the moment I picked it up to when I put it down, I never stopped lusting after it. My only wish is that I had more events to attend with the big white rocket. It is a joy to use and never disappoints.